Hi, and welcome to Season 2 of Big Sound Small Town, the podcast that spotlights the talented and diverse musicians in small towns and communities. This season we're branching out to include the community of people who make it possible for musicians to be able to perform their music, the producers, the recording engineers, the venue owners, and many others, and as always, the small town musicians. Remember, small town doesn't mean small talent. Hear their stories. Richard Putnam had asked me to come to his house to do this podcast, and I did, and the Shelby Star came, made pictures, they wrote a nice article on it, and it's really what put the ball in motion with this podcast. It blew up after that, and I'm thankful to both the Star and to Richard Putnam for having an interest in it, and thank you all for listening. Richard is wonderful. Listen to him. Today on Big Sound Small Town, I'm in the studio of the hidden treasure of Cleveland County music, Mr. Richard Putnam. That's a real nice intro there. I like
Thanks,
that.
Man.
Is that something of yours or just?
No, that's a song called Tipatina. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I thought it was.
Yeah.
It's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Works great for an intro.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you just didn't start being able to play the piano like that right out of the bat, did you?
No, I did not. No.
How did that come about?
My first, when I was about 5 or 6 on TV, Liberace used to have a show, and I heard him play piano, and I said I'd like to do that, and so from there on I went to do that. But I loved records too. I listened to records all the time. I just wanted to be a musician. So,
Right.
yeah.
So did you seek out lessons at that point, or did you just
I started when I was 7,
7?
and went all the way through high school and 2 years of college. So.
Oh, so the background's pretty strong.
Yeah, it's background. It's mostly that was classical stuff, but
Yeah. Well, I mean that's
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the groundwork.
yeah, it is
I
the
mean,
theory. I mean, the theory, learning the theory of music opened up a whole new life for me as far as music went. So
It does, the theory, and unlike so many musicians, when you start on piano and you learn to read music, it kind of opens the doors up that you couldn't open on your own a lot of
that's
times.
right. It does. Yeah, yeah,
I mean, you can expose
Yeah.
yourself to other people's
yeah.
work and learn
Exactly,
from that.
yeah.
So,
That's right.
well, okay, so when you started playing piano, I know you did recitals and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
did you play it? Did you play out at that point at the 7-year-old? Through?
No, not then. But I did. The first time I played out was I was in the 5th grade.
Okay.
And we had a little band,
Oh.
me and some of the guys, and it's funny. I was sort of a geek
Yeah.
to people, everybody. He takes piano. But we played at Graham School, where I went to school. We did a little concert, and the next day I was all of a sudden famous.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, music can do that.
yeah, it does. Yeah.
So did you play through high school? I mean,
Yeah, I played in the high school band, and then I was in various bands through high school. I think when I was 14, I was in a group called the Phantoms, and we had a 4-piece group. And actually, George Hatcher, who was Butch Hatcher back then, he was our first lead singer.
Oh, okay.
But then after that, I got into a group called the Constellations.
All right. Yeah, expand on that, please.
Okay. Well, I auditioned for him at Lake Lure at a club, and I can't remember the name of the club, but I was 15, so all the clubs they had to sneak me into.
Okay, yeah.
Excuse me. So on my audition night, I had a Wurlitzer electric piano. We were playing a song, and Don Camp, who was the lead guitar player, leaned down and said, "Take a break." So I got up from the piano, started to walk away. And he said, no, take a solo. And so I did. And they let me get in the band. And I was with them for 3 or 4 years there.
Do you remember, perchance, what the song was that you was taking a song?
No, I don't remember.
Okay.
It might have been a James Brown song, because, I mean, it involved a solo, so I don't know.
What type of repertoire was that at that point with the
What did they do?
Constellation?
Yeah, mostly R&B.
Okay.
Temptations,
Right.
all the old R&B and stuff, and Rufus Thomas, things like that.
Right.
And we did some originals. Those the singers, Brian Guest, Ben Guest, Sam Guest, and Butch Mitchell. They were really, really talented, and everybody in the band was. Don Camp played guitar,
Right.
Max Philbeck played saxophone, Mike Putnam played drums, and Bob Alley played bass. And some of those are still around, and they're still very talented guys.
That's good. That's a
Yeah.
good place to learn to play in a
Yeah,
band.
it is. And we were the first mixed group of musicians in Cleveland County at that time.
Now, how was that received?
Mostly it was received great in all the black clubs we played, but a lot of the white places that we played weren't that good. I remember a time when we were playing in Alabama, and we stopped at this roadside cafe to eat, and they would not let us in because we had African American guys with us, and so we just ordered. The white guys ordered, and we ate outside their restaurant and went on. And it bothered me more than it bothered them. But,
Yeah, I found that when
Yeah.
I've been in the same
Yeah,
situation. Yeah.
But those guys, to this day, I don't see them that much, but they're my brothers, and I really appreciate them.
Well, that's a good place to.
Yeah.
And it's not a simple music that you cut your teeth on. I mean,
No, it's not. No,
It's
yeah.
not 3 chords.
No, it's more to you.
So,
Yeah,
and that's a foundation.
Yeah.
Definitely. And plus the harmony singing, which is another.
oh, they were great. Yeah, man, they were great. But I've always liked all types of music. I grew up playing classical and then playing R&B, and then I loved country music. I remember, I don't know if I should tell this, but I remember when we were in high school, me and some buddies would go down to South Carolina because Cleveland County used to be dry,
Right.
and go in this little place and down there, and there'd always be country music on the jukebox and George Jones and all that stuff, and I love that too.
Oh,
so,
yeah. I did too. Well, okay, so take me from the Constellations to what happens next.
All right, after the Constellations, I graduated high school, and I was in various bands. I was in with some guys from around here. A guy named Clint Newton played saxophone.
Yeah. I knew Ken.
And Phil Davis played drums. And I'm afraid I don't want to forget anybody, but we were in just various bands and played various places like that. And then in '72, I got married.
Okay.
And I was in a band called South. And they were from Gastonia mostly, and they did mostly beach music
Right.
and R&B too. So then we played a lot. I mean, and then from there I took a sort of a rest from playing in bands for about 3 or 4 years, and then I met a guy in Shelby named Rick Bowles, and you know Rick.
Right.
And he and I started playing out as a duo and writing songs together and everything. And he finally, he did in '80, '81, he got a record deal with Polygram Records. And we took a band out to promote that record.
Right.
And the first song that was got on the Billboard charts for 2 weeks is Too Good to Turn Back Now.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Rick and I wrote that, and it was on like at 82 or something in a bullet, and then 74 in a bullet, and then it dropped off. So, and then it was a very short-lived thing. So it was good. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Because I don't know. There were some places we played that were great. We got great crowd response. There were some places that we were probably booked in the wrong type of place because they didn't like the type of music that was. And sometimes we didn't even get paid. There's a few times that the club owners decided they wouldn't pay us that night. So, but I mean, I learned so much in that band, and those guys are still my brothers to this day. In that band, there were, Rick and I were the only Shelby guys, but there was a guy named Houston Roper from Lawrence, South Carolina, played drums, and Tim Murray from Charlotte played guitar, and Ted Stewart from Charlotte, who lives in Atlanta now, played bass. And it was a good experience.
Yeah. As I had told you, I was playing around, and we played some of the same places.
Yeah.
In Charlotte, and you and Rick were the stars, the big draws, So.
Yeah. Rick was the star. I would just support. But when we played a duo, we did a duo circuit. We played at Boar's Head in Charlotte and other places in Charlotte, and then we also played up in Washington D.C. some, and down in Florida some. And that we were doing really well.
The duo was really good. I mean, that was my first time I was drawing attention to you guys.
Yeah, it was really good. We both sang. He's of course a better singer than I am, but I did some things, and that was great. It just when the band got going and it just didn't work out, that tore some things. Yeah, I know. Yeah, and it wasn't due to any of the band members. Right. It was just the politics of Polygram. At that time, they changed the CEO, and he didn't think that type of music would fit what he wanted to do, and so they dropped it. So basically,
So then what did you do? I mean, that job kind of
fizzled out. Yeah. Actually, then what I did, I was in several bands that played the Holiday Inn circuit, that played the top 40 pop stuff. And one was called Joe Daddy from Statesville. Mickey Floyd was the lead guitar player, and his brother played in it. And I was there for a little bit, and I was with the Pat Cray band. Pat Cray was from Charlotte. He was another keyboard player, but what I did was I sang back up, and I played other keyboards. I played keyboard bass.
Okay.
Yeah. So we went through that period, and then I got a job at Country City, USA in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And Houston Roper, my drummer friend, helped me get that job. I worked there for, until 80. I can't remember.
Was that the Randy Travis era?
Yeah, no, that was right after Randy.
That would have been a Dale Upton era, maybe.
That was around the Dale Upton era, but at that time there were two bands. One band would play in the wintertime. One band would play an hour set. The next band would play an hour set.
Oh, okay.
But in the summertime they had an outside stage, so you split it up like that. But there were two bands. We were the City Slickers.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And the other band was, I forgot the name of it. It had a great singer, a guy from Charlotte named Vic Rohrer, and they were the other band. And that lasted for a few years. I can't remember exactly when, but I stopped playing for them around 89 or something like that. And then because there was a new club being built right across the way with Coyote Joe's.
Oh yeah.
And I was a part of the first band that Coyote Joe's had. Yeah.
Oh.
So I played there until 93, 94, something like that. And then I want to get out of the club scene.
Yeah.
You
have to do it to understand. There's a time that you have to.
So I got out of the club scene, and I did. In the meantime, I'd been doing sessions around all these different places.
Right.
In '71, I did a session that I was really proud of doing. It was the Blind Boys of Alabama, and a Reflection Sound in Charlotte, and
all the way back in when?
'71.
Yeah.
I was I was 20, 21, something like that. But anyway, there was and the way they did that session was really cool. They did it all. Everybody played at once, and we were out in the big room.
Right.
And there was a piano player, and I played Hammond B3 organ.
Okay, yeah.
And they had a drummer, and they had their guitar player, and there were four guys, and they were all blind, And the neat thing about that is they would all be around a mic. They each had a mic, but there was a guy standing behind them. I said, "What's this guy standing behind them?" And so as we were playing, I noticed that they would get excited and turn away from the mic, and that guy would turn them back to the mic because they couldn't see.
Well, so that would have been the original Blind Boys of Alabama.
That was the original Blind Boys of Alabama.
Yes, I mean
not what there is now.
That was years before they hit their fame.
Yeah.
So you got to see the original
Blind
deal.
Boys. Yeah,
That's really cool.
Yeah, on that album, one song, I'll never forget this. Robin and I were watching the Grammy Awards, and there's a little snippet that said, and also nominated for a Grammy, blah, blah. And Just Another Soldier in the Army of the Lord is one of the songs we did. It was nominated for a Grammy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it didn't
cool.
win, but it was nominated.
Oh,
so,
that's really cool.
So, that was cool. So, but I'd been doing sessions, around, and started doing a lot of gospel sessions too. So,
I mean, how did that come about? I mean,
doing sessions?
Yeah.
I really don't know. I mean,
I
it's hard to. Well, one way is Houston Roper and I, the drummer friend,
Right.
we went to different studios and told them what we did and played some. But the other way was just
word of mouth.
Word of mouth over the years. I mean, Reflection Sound used to use me a lot, and
well, you were there playing in Charlotte, so you did you were
Yeah.
known. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't like you walked in
Yeah.
off the street.
Yeah.
I mean, you were a known
right.
known name in Charlotte.
I also did a lot of TV and radio commercials in the '80s, and I got that happened by Rick and I playing.
Okay.
I started talking to a fellow that was in an ad agency, and he gave me a chance to do some, and I did a lot of commercials for Belk, for Bojangles, for I can't remember all. I did a bunch until that sort of fizzled out, and it was very lucrative.
I'm sure. Yeah, that is.
Yeah. So anyway, I did that for a while, and by the way, I have a website that has my bio on it, and it also has songs that I've done, most recently songs I've done. But anyway,
plug it.
It's www.bigfeet.net, and it's Big Feet is spelled BIGFEAT.net. www.bigfeet.net. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that way they can find it.
Yeah, good. Yeah. So where were we?
We're leaving the club scene.
I left the club scene. I actually worked a real job for a while.
Really?
Yeah, for 6 months or so, and still, then the sessions started picking up again, and then I sort of got my life straighter than it had been.
I understand.
Yeah, and
were you playing in church by this time?
I started right after that. Yeah,
Okay.
Started playing at a church in Kannapolis called Eastwood Baptist Church.
Okay.
I played there for 10 years. Then moved back to Shelby, and I played at Christ Covenant in Shelby for about 10, 11 years. Then I retired from playing that. But what happened with the sessions turned into people wanting soundtracks and stuff like that. And I started doing that. I'd been doing that all along, but it really that's what I do now, mostly do soundtracks. And I still do sessions, but I do, people come here and do stuff too. But
you probably need to plug that too. What they need to, if they want to do a session here, how they get in touch with you?
They can call me on my home phone.
Okay.
It's 704-487-1235, or my cell phone 704-564-5802, and the website also will lead you there if you want to go there. So, so I've been doing that since I left Coyote Joe's, and I was so amazed that I'm glad I took this path, because and money's it's not all about money.
Right. Oh, I agree.
For me, it's the love of music. You have to have money to live. I've been most blessed since that time to make a living every year just doing this, and I'm so thankful for that. So
that is. I mean, that is a really good deal.
Yeah, it is.
And you don't have to travel.
No, you don't have to travel. No, I still travel and to do sessions, but I don't do as many now. I just turned 70, so But now I do play out some. There's a little part-time band in Cherville and Shelby guys that I play. We play little weddings and stuff like that.
That would have been. I forgot where I was going with that. So, would that be a family band?
Well, no, it's not a family band. We're called South Street now.
Okay.
The people in South Street are Gaylord Brawley, who's a
Okay.
good friend of mine,
Right.
great singer.
Yeah.
Rodney Bridges is a drummer. He's from Cherryville.
Okay.
And Mike Black, who used to play the Spontanes years ago. I think it was the Spontanes.
I think
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah. Okay. And Brink Isaacs. I don't know if you know Brink. He's a Cleveland County boy.
Brink is playing with another band.
He
here,
is
too.
playing with another band. Yeah.
Actually, I just did a podcast on.
Yeah. They
that
play
guy.
uptown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's-
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays with Medicine Crow.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He does.
Brink's a great musician. He is.
Yeah, he's a good guitarist.
Yeah, he is.
saw him
Yeah,
play
we don't.
Saturday.
This little band doesn't play but 2 or 3 times a year. That's about it. And there's another little band up in. Well, let me finish. I don't want to leave anybody out. Well, that's mostly it. We have different people. Have a new keyboard player named Al Ebel, but he's from Charlotte, and Richard Green from Concord, and Roger Smith is the lead singer now, who used to sing with the group South years ago. There's another group up around in the mountains up near Boone that I play with maybe 3 times a year. So I don't play out that much.
But you do play out a little bit. So
Yeah,
that's
I do.
Still good.
It's still
good.
fun to play out.
It
Yeah.
is still fun to play.
Yeah. So, but I mean, music is.
Now,
I love music, all types of music. It's just.
what about the? Let's go with the Billy Graham deal. I know that there's a Billy Graham
Oh
deal
yeah,
here.
yeah. I got nominated for a regional Emmy. It's not the nationwide Emmy, but a regional Emmy. This was in 2002. When was it? 2002. I can't remember. It was somewhere around there. 2002, 2003. There's some people that I met through a guy named Mark Williams who used to work at Reflection Sound. There, 2 ladies, Georgianne Eubanks and Donna.
Yeah, getting old's hard.
Yeah, it is getting hard. Yeah.
yeah.
I know Donna. I played for Donna's sister's funeral, but they're really good friends. And so I'd met them and done some sessions for them and stuff, and done some things for. They do a lot of UNC TV type stuff and things like that. And they did a Billy Graham and Ruth Graham thing, and they asked me if I'd do the music, and I did. And they came to Shelby and they told me what they wanted, and we'd play along to what the scene would be and everything. And the music actually got and the music actually got nominated for a regional Emmy. And we went to me and my family and them went to Nashville and came in second. But
that's great.
That's not an Emmy, but it was nice to be
Recognition for the work you've done.
Yeah.
And then
Donna Campbell.
okay, good. That's good.
Donna's and they're both good friends. Donna Campbell and Georgianne Eubanks. Yeah.
Well, now you were telling me that a lot of your work these days is gospel music.
I'd say 90% is gospel music. People want soundtracks to sing to, and
Right.
they want. And I do some projects, where a person comes in and does the vocals, and we mix
Right.
just like you're doing a record. Not that I won't do other stuff. I will,
Right.
as long as it's good stuff and uplifting and stuff.
yeah.
But yeah, that's most of what I do nowadays. Yeah.
Okay, and is it? But that's not really a stretch from all the time you played.
The music's the same. It's just the lyrics,
Yeah, the lyrics are
Yeah,
different. Yeah. That's
The
true.
music. I mean, I just did an Aretha Franklin song for a guy, Butch Mitchell, that used to be in the Constellations, for him to sing at church.
Right.
And I mean, it's a gospel song, but it's in the blues format. So I mean,
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah. So you can do. Well, surely you don't do karaoke songs for people too.
I used to, but I did that through a company in Charlotte that
I thought you did.
Yeah.
That's wrong where I was going.
Yeah. I did that maybe for a year and a half. I did that, and then they sold out to another nationwide company, and I was one of the keyboard players. There are several that would do it, but on the karaoke stuff, you had to really listen to it and listen to the parts. And actually, this is a good training to listen to how music is put together in the studio, because you had to listen to your parts and everybody else's parts.
Okay, I'm back in the studio with Richard Putnam. We've been through the karaoke era of his life, and that kind of panned out well for him, but now he's on a different track. What's going on today?
Yeah, well, I'm just doing soundtracks for people mostly. In my studio, my little studio here, I record groups and stuff and like that, and I do all types of music. A guy yesterday was in here named Bunny Clyde.
Yes.
He's one of the greatest saxophone players I've ever.
Yes, he is.
And he also plays every instrument. But so I do stuff like that. I had a lady in here that I did a project for. Her name was Judy Nash. She's from up above Winston-Salem, and she's a gospel singer. She sings country. She writes all her songs. I was really proud of that, the way it turned out. So that's basically what I do. On a lot of the soundtracks, I'll do the keyboard parts, and actually I'll play bass from a keyboard, and I'll do the drums from the keyboard, depending on the person's budget.
Right.
And then David Johnson, who's up from Wilkes County, will come in and play, the mandolin, fiddle, dobro, guitars, steel guitar, and so I do a lot of that now. So
that's good.
Yeah,
man. That's good. So, how old are you now?
I just turned 70 in May.
Now, do you see yourself slowing down any?
No, I'm not gonna ever slow down, but I may not work as hard in long hours, because a lot of the times I'm down here 10 hours.
Yeah.
Well, one day with Bunny, I was here 15 hours.
Yeah, I mean,
that was a long time.
That's one of those things that non-musicians, I think, a lot of times don't realize that it seems simple. I mean, it seems like you hear a track, but there's a whole lot more goes on with it than what people realize.
I know.
And I don't think people ever appreciate the time that musicians put in on projects of any type.
Oh, I know. It's amazing. I mean, I remember when I was growing up and I wanted to be a musician. I had a lot of my relatives. My parents never did that, but they died when I was a teenager. But a lot of relatives would say, "Well, Richard, you need something to fall back on, or get a real job." So, but this is a real job. It's hard. It's difficult. There are a lot of hours.
There is.
And to make things right, you don't just sit here and play and that's it. There's a lot of editing and a lot of redoing, and
particularly from your standpoint. I mean, I guess when you did a session, it's pretty easy. You go in and play your part, and you get to leave.
Yeah.
But as the production part of it, that's ever expanding.
You got to get everybody playing their parts right, and the song has to have a life to it.
It does have to have a life.
Yeah, and once you get that, then you've got editing and mixing, and you got vocals. Vocals, you got nowadays we tune vocals.
True. Yes.
Just so.
Oh yes, that's big these days.
Yeah, you can make some groups sound really good, and then when they go out and play, people say that didn't sound like the same group.
Exactly.
But
I guess technology has, in a lot of ways, made your job easier.
It has, very much easier.
I mean, the fact that you don't have to mic a lot of what you do is like in the old days.
Yeah.
You can patch stuff in and correct stuff.
Yeah. When David's here playing, of course, since he's got acoustic instruments, we mic that, and I have real drummers in here. Sometimes that people.
And that's the hardest of all the stuff that I've ever.
The mic drums,
and get the drum sounds right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure from the production part of sitting trying to do those things, that'd have to drive you about half crazy.
Yeah.
That's really hard stuff.
Yeah, it is hard stuff. And I'm not I wouldn't call myself a great engineer, but over the years I've learned a lot about engineering. I mean, I admire Mark Williams and a guy named Steve Hagler that used to work at Reflection. They were great engineers, and so. Yeah,
they were. You wonder what happened to guys like that.
Yeah. I think they're both retired now. I don't know if Steve is, but anyway, they're still around. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, I know you have a busy schedule, and I do appreciate you taking time out of the schedule to sit here and talk to me about it today.
Well, I was more than glad to do it, and I appreciate you asking me about it.
It's been nothing but a pleasure for me.
Thanks, Sandy.
Thank you.
All right.
One final comment on Richard Putnam's episode is the songs that you heard he wrote for his daughters, Emily and Ashley. They're wonderful. Again, thanks for listening.